They said, could you tell us if you saw a vehicle when you awoken? And he said, yeah. And they said, could you indicate what a vehicle was? He said, yes. So they show him a photo, and he literally draws a square that would represent the car. And the way that I can describe it to you is that the car was headed west, so going this way, and it was up on the curb. You know how you kind of pull up on the curb so you're not in the street? You got to remember, these are narrow streets and stuff. So he described the car as being up on the curb pretty much. Okay. They said, when you heard the noises and the arguing, then what happened? He said, I looked through the windows, and there were two girls. He said, I saw two girls arguing. And he said they were standing next to the car, on the right side of the car. So this would be the passenger side of the car, and that the doors were open. If we pause right here, is that what Megan or Kelsey said happened? And that is where your fucking problem lies. Megan said that boy, as soon as she got out the car, Kelsey said when she got out the car, no sooner than she got the car, she heard gunshots. They both fucking lied. Because at the end of the day, this independent witness who is from the UK says that, listen, I heard arguing. I go, look out the window, can y'all leave? And I, kind of look a little bit more. And they fighting. So when did that happen? Miss Bump. I bumped a bitch. Okay? And so, when you heard the noise, then what happened? So I looked through the windows, and it was two girls. I saw them arguing, standing next to the car on the right side of the car. The doors were open. He said, I opened my doors, and I stepped onto the balcony, and they started fighting. Yes. Pulling hair.
Hitting each other. Quite violent.
Quite violent is what he said. He said, I only saw two girls, and then I saw a tall guy get out of the driver's side.
One big, one small.
Yeah, he said he was in all black, and he was black, okay? And he was a larger gentleman. So if we pause right there, pulling hair and hitting and shit. So all of this conversation about Tory whooping her ass and pulling on her neck, and that's why your chain broken. That's why you got these scars. And that's why you got a patch in your head and your nails broke. They trying to put that on Tory. But this witness saw you and Megan fighting, okay? Kelsey is 4'11", Megan is 5'10".
For a while, he said.
Yeah, for a while.
And he said they'll find for a while. Milagograms@gmail.com if you want to do Zelle. So, he said, my son came out, and I talked to my son. He said, the next thing I saw was the driver intervene, and they were all fighting for a while. He said, I told my son, get in my bed. He said they kept fighting. He said they separated, and that Megan got into, he's describing Megan, so I'm going to say their names as per who I think he was talking about. He said she got into the passenger side of the car, and they were still fighting. They said she just kept kicking. Yeah, so I'm imagining her just kicking Kelsey. He said all I was seeing was her legs kicking her. And they said, for how long? He said, I don't know, several minutes. He said, I was still on the balcony. He said, and nothing was in my way. Like I could see them. He said, I could see them from the top. I wasn't looking directly at them eye to eye, but I could see them, basically. They said, did one female leave? He said, no. He said, I saw one girl go to the car, and then I saw what I thought was fireworks. But now I know that it was a muzzle flash. So that's what he said. He saw a muzzle flash. They said at the same time, he said Tory got out and was yelling. He said he got out and as they yelled, and then all four of them was right there. And he kept saying this was happening so fast. It was happening so fast. So he said he got out of the passenger side of the car. That's what the side he said Tory got out of. He said, then I saw flashes. I saw gunfire. He said that he had spoken to police about 3 times, and the first time was that day. He said it was a lot of cops that he spoke to, and he spoke to a sergeant, the DA, and the investigator, and then a prosecutor's investigator. They said, you saw the muzzle flash? He said, yes. And then they said, where? He said, I saw the muzzle flash closer to the girls. They said, is that the same lady that you saw fighting the one who the flash went off by? Yeah. They said, and she was just kicking. He said, I heard the gun go off, and they were still fighting. He said eventually the girl, and this is what they said, he said the girl that got beat up crawled and went across the street. So if everybody that think that Kelsey got beat the fuck up, baby, that is not what the man from London said. He said that baby girl, big ass, she didn't got beat the fuck up. So they said, did you hear dance bitch? He said no, he did not hear that. They said you were interviewed about who had the gun, and you were asked, how many people had it. He said 2 people had the gun. That's what he said. He said, who had it initially? He said the girl. I only saw flashes from the girl, but they was all fighting.
Who was fighting with the other girl.
Okay. And then, and I'm going to put the camera on this young lady right here so she can tell y'all, when I get through, she can give y'all her perspective. After the flash, they said Tory was shouting, and everybody was fighting. They was just making a lot of noise. They said, did you see the gentleman run to her? And he said, nah, he ain't run. He got out the car. And so, that he kind of walked over there. He wasn't running nothing like that. So there was a couple of objections, and they felt like the defense was leading him. So he had to rephrase his questions. They said, did you say that the person who the muzzle flash went off by was the one with the gun? And they showed him his statement, and he said, yes, that's what I said. They said, who did you describe the shooter to be when you spoke with everybody? He said, one of the girls. They said, did you see the shorter guy do anything with the girl who was shot? And then, did you get an answer to that question? Moved on. Because it was a whole bunch. When I tell you the prosecution was like, objection, objection, objection.
They end up asking him, did you see the shorter guy try to take the gun away after the female
Then I do have it
and
right.
he said yes.
Perfect. So when they said, did you see him do anything with the girl who got shot? There was an objection. And so he rephrased the question. He said, didn't you say that the shorter guy tried to take the gun from the girl? He said, yes. They said, then the flashes came from him. Mm-hmm. So I want to remind you guys of how it sounded when they played those gunshots. It went like this. Pop, 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 pause, pop, pop. From day one, when we heard that shit, I said, you know what, that sounds like a struggle. Yeah. And now it's starting to align with the fact that somebody fired that weapon and maybe there was something, a pause, and it went off 2 more times. Okay? That is my speculation, obviously. They said, then the flashes came from him. He said they were all fighting, so I assumed that it was him who fired the gun. So they read the statement. And he said, sir, did you say that after the female did the shooting that the guy tried to take the gun? This man said, it's my turn to talk. Okay? And he said, child, let me tell it. He didn't got aggravated, child. And so they said, look, who started the shooting? He said, the girl. Plain as day, the girl. They said, did you realize that it wasn't a firearm? Is that what you have? Did you realize that it wasn't a firearm?
No, I know. He said I was thinking and hoped that they were playing with fireworks.
Right. And then did you realize that it was a firearm? He said, yes. He said, do you agree that you called 911? He said, yeah. He said, did you say that there was a gun in a 911 call? He said, I don't know. He said, after talking to everyone, did you say that Kelsey shot every time? And what that means is every time you spoke to anybody, were you telling them that Kelsey is the one who shot? Yes, was the answer to his question. Yes, that's what I said. He said, I saw her, and then everyone was fighting, and the men were breaking up the fight. He said the bigger guy violently separated them. Yeah. They said, didn't you say that the short guy didn't get out until after the initial shots? He said, yeah. So did you see the shorter guy with the gun? He said, yeah, well, I didn't see a gun. He said, I did not see a gun. So they said after shots were fired, he got out and he was fighting both of the girls. That's what he said. They said, on the date of the incident, did you go downstairs when the police came? He said, yeah. He said, I spoke to the police about 15 to 20 minutes after the incident, and they kept asking him, were you being truthful? He said, yeah. He said, you said the 2 women were fighting and the man separated them, right? He said, yes. So they go to the bench to talk. They come back. They said, when you spoke to officers, you were being honest, right? He said, yeah. And he said, I saw the girls fighting and I saw the girl with a gun. Let me stop right here and just say, he contradicted himself a lot. Because how did you see the girl with the gun? If you didn't see nobody, if you didn't see a gun. You understand what I'm saying? So it was like, child, did you see a gun or did you not see a gun? But he is adamant about the fact that the girl was fighting and that the girl had the gun first and that Tory was in the car when the gun started going off. That's what he said. They said, did you talk to Detective Stogner? He said, yeah. They said, did you describe the incident? He said, yeah. They said, did you tell Stogner who was fighting? Objection. He said, I remember speaking to the DA, the sergeant, the officer, and they said, were you being honest when you spoke with them? He said, yeah. They said, who was initially in the fight? They say the girls, and then the driver got out first, and then Tory got out after the shots. And they said, and you told my guy that same thing, right? He said, yeah. They said, who was fighting? The girls. And then they said, who did you initially see with the gun? who initially had the gun? You saw the girl with the gun, right? He said yes. They said, and then Tory got out after the initial gunshots were fired to break it up. He said yes. They said in the driveway, the three of them were beating the girl. Listen to this. They say when Megan crawled over to the adjacent driveway, he said the three of them, that would be Kelsey, Quan, and Tory. He is accusing them of beating Megan to the point where he thought that they would kill her. He said that Megan was in the fetal position and that the bigger guy said the police coming. He said they picked the girl up, and I thought that they was going to throw her in the motherfucking water. He said if they would have thrown her in the water, it was 12 to 15 feet deep. And he said, I thought that that's what they was about to do. I thought that they would kill her, but then they put her in the car and drove off. That is why I made the comment about the way that we're viewed. That is why. It sounds like to me they picked her up, and maybe you assume because it was niggas that they was finna throw the bitch overboard and try to kill her, but they went and put it in the car. So what made you think they would throw her in there? Did they walk over there and try to throw her in there, or did you just see them pick her up? Okay. So they put in the car and drove off. He said he was awakened when they were arguing. So he did not, see them get out the car, but he saw Kelsey get out the car for this fight. He said Megan climbed back into the car and the passenger doors were open. He said the larger guy walked around to the front of the car. And then we go to cross-examination. They said the counselor asked you about the 911 call, and what did you say? He said that there was a violent attack and that they were beating girls, and they gave an objection. They came back and they brought the question again. He said they were beating the girls. Yes, that's what I said. Now get this. Don't let them leave this part out. He said, that is what I said on the phone call because that's what they were doing at the time. He said at that time when I called 911, they were hitting her. They were beating the girl.
They were all fussing.
And they were all fussing and beating the girl. He said, so, that's what happened. And they said, you testified about a short guy getting out of the back, right? Yes. When the small guy got out, they all fought. He said that, he got out and he was shouting a lot. They were all shouting. They said, didn't you tell us, quote, the chap in the car was firing the gun? He said, yes. He said, but they were all fighting. He said, I saw the short guy shoot all over everywhere, about 4 to 5 shots. And then they played the audio. Now, this is where my problem comes in at. You said that you didn't see a gun. And you said that Kelsey initially, fired the gun. There were only 5 shots fired. So what the hell have you heard? And what the hell is going on? Would be my question.
I gotta go.
So,
Hey, ma'am, I really like that song, Wet Ass Pussy. It's really great.
you like what? What song you like?
Wet Ass Pussy.
Who I look like to you?
Megan Thee Stallion.
You think I sing that song?
Yeah.
I don't.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. God. Well, hey, I'm usually thinking about Frank Sinatra.
Okay, I know that's right, but that's okay. She's a beautiful girl.
Hey, geez, I
All right.
did.
Okay. No, I don't sing that song.
Really?
Yeah, wop, wop, wop. Just some wet ass pussy. Yeah. No, that ain't me. I'm coming up with a mixtape, though.
All right. Well, hey, I'll look for it then.
I'm not Mr. Elevator.
I'm embarrassed. I'm sorry.
No. People mistake people for other people all the time. It's fine, sir. And I like Frank Sinatra, too.
Yeah, well, you got something, man.
Okay.
You gotta do something, but hey.
Okay. I'm no, that's fine. You have a good day.
Thank you, man.
Mm-hmm. When I tell you, you cannot make this shit up. Are you kidding me? I didn't even catch what he said at first. All I heard was pussy.
Yeah, he said, I like that song. You like your song, the Wet Ass Pussy. I'm like, what?
He's seen the
Look,
titties.
all that.
Okay. All right. Okay. So, woo. So, when the small guy got out of the car, they all fought. And he got out and he was shouting a lot. And they was all shouting. He said, didn't you say that the chap in the car was firing the gun? He said, yeah. But they was all fighting. And he said, I saw the short guy shooting all over the place with his hands up. Just shooting all over the place, about 4 or 5 shots. once again, let's be logical. Babe, if only 5 shots were fired. So how the fuck was Tory still in the car when Kelsey started firing, but he shot 4 or 5 shots? Be logical. And this is why this witness, I just feel like, babe, you're not making sense to me. I mean, what the fuck happened? So, well, because the man doesn't have a point of reference, they had to describe him as the short guy. They had to describe Kelsey as one of the young ladies that was shorter, and then the other guy as the tall guy. Okay? That's what they had to do because he don't have no point of reference, and they didn't even want defense referencing him as my client. So they made that very clear. He said, I saw the short guy shoot all over everyone. So they played the audio of the gunshots. The gunshots went as followed. Pop, 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 pause, pop, pop. All right. I saw the short guy shoot. Okay, I already read that. They said, you saw the short guy, and this is what you heard after they played the audio? He said, yeah. He said, I told them that he shot multiple times and that she fell out the car and was bleeding and crawling and stumbling. They said, you thought that you saw a female shooting inside the car. Ain't that what you said? He said, yes. He said, but my son was with me and I was worried about my son. He was the one who ended up finding the last cartridge case. And he said, but I never saw a gun. So if you never saw a fucking gun, nigga, how the fuck you saw Tory shooting a gun 5 times? Mm-hmm. What the fuck are you talking about? Please, let this man go home because this is botched. He said, didn't you say, I see what appears to be the girl shooting into the car. Yes. Quote, he was shooting and she was just kicking and she crawled across the street into a ball. They said, what did Tory say as he fired the gun? This man said it was a torrent of abuse. They were saying, motherfucker this, motherfucker that. He said, but it was all of them. He said, but Tory was going crazy and he was agitated. Here go Ken Barbie. He was going crazy. Child, he said, yeah, he was going crazy. That fit his narrative. And then they were done and they wanted a redirect. Okay. Mr. Kelly, they you spoke with my guy on January 5th, 2021, right? And you talked to the prosecution's people in September 2021. He said, yeah. And you agreed that you spoke to police and said that my client was in the car when shots were initially fired. He said, yes. And when you saw that muzzle flash closer to Kelsey, my client was in the car. He said, yes. I'm using my client loosely, just so y'all know, but referencing Tory. They said, didn't you say that when he got out the car that he tried to get the gun from the other girl? He said, yes, that's what I said. He said, when you first heard the gun and saw the muzzle flash, that was near the woman, correct? He said, yes. He said, you said you never saw a gun, right? He said, yeah, he had something, but I just saw him like waving his hands around. And he said it was just all this fighting and yelling, and the girls was fighting, and he just got out cussing. They said, who did you see fire the first shot? The witness said, the girl.
Yes.
Let them hoes tell you what the fuck they want to tell you. That's what that man said. Mm-hmm. He said he initially, what? It's 3 people sitting right here. They talking about that's not what was said. Use a motherfucking lie.
What? I'm sorry.
No, you fine. No, I'm putting somebody that just got blocked. But I'm telling you exactly what was said. But you knew that already. So if you feel like you identify more with them, go over there. Because I'm going to tell you what I saw and what I wrote down. But and I want y'all to hear from other people as well. So y'all can get into what they heard. But if have I been wrong yet, you guys?
No.
Okay.
I got the same notes.
Okay. So then they do a recross. They said, this prosecution now, was your interview recorded when we did it? He said, I don't know. They said, did he tell you the interview was recorded? He said, absolutely not. Mm-hmm. They said, would that be important to you? He said, yeah, I would want to know that I was, being recorded. They said, did you say that Tory was outside of the vehicle when the shit went down? He said, yeah. He said, did you say that all of them were out of the vehicle when the shots was fired? He said, yeah. So don't they contradict his last statement where he said that Tory was in the car? That's why I'm not fooling with this. They said, when was the first time that you said it was a girl? He said, in the beginning. He said, on the 911 call, did you mention a girl? He said, no. Listen, when you spoke to Officer Diaz, did you mention a girl? He said, no. But at the time, I didn't realize I was being recorded. What significance does that bear? And for me, they were trying to establish that he didn't mention a girl until he met with the defense. So they're trying to paint a picture that you basically changed your story because you went over here to do this and talk to them. Now, they went to the bench and they said that we could go to lunch. And that is what happened, okay? So, yeah, I'm going to pass my phone.